Board. All right, we'll call the monthly meeting of the Shell Rock River Watershed District to order. Roll call, Leah.
Manager Bakken,
Here.
Manager Delger,
Here.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Pasuski,
Here.
Manager Hanson,
Here.
Manager Pistorius.
Here. 2 is a consent agenda. It has all these documents. Here to take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
the discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of agenda. Care to make that motion? Do you have any additions?
Mr. Chair, there is no additions, corrections, or deletions to the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second,
Second.
discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Andy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First item on the agenda is update on the country club property. As you know, in the past, we did have this listed with a realty company. That contract has since expired. We did work a little bit with the city of Albert Lee, along with Alita, trying to get people interested in the property to sell. However, there was some questions on the existing storm sewer, water lines and sanitary sewer out on site. So the board went ahead and had that inspected and surveyed by Jones, Haugen Smith and Jensen Excavating. That was completed early winter. We do have a final report that was done by Jones, Haugen Smith. Me and Mr. Benham met with them last week to go over that report. So the next steps where we're at with that is Jones, Haugen Smith sent a formal letter to the city engineer to make sure that we're in agreement with the inspections on the sanitary sewer, the water, and the storm sewer. And then after that letter is sent, actually it was already sent to him, I sent to him yesterday. We will sit down and meet with the city manager and Steve Yonke just one final time to make sure that we're all on the same page as far as what we're looking for out there on the country club property. And then we will probably move forward with, again, getting a realtor on board to assist the district in selling that property. Kind of what we're finding out is all the sanitary sewer was pressure tested and passed. All the water mains passed their inspection and their E. coli tests. And just we did some boundary changes just to make it more appealable to people looking at developing the piece of property. So that's my quick update on the country club, unless there's any questions from the board on the country club property. Yes.
So that's platted and the street is dedicated to the city.
So the main street that runs through the heart of it is dedicated to the city. That was the street that St. John's and the district paid for together and put in. That one is dedicated. We are looking at potentially platting. That's kind of the survey work that we had Jones, Haugen Smith do, was plat the existing lots that are basically turnkey or ready to be developed, and then possibly break out the other sections because it is a larger parcel. It's 48 acres or 38 acres. So again, looking at the survey stuff and then meet with the city to verify all that.
And this is probably already been asked. Is there, so would you sell out lots? Individually or try to sell the whole subdivision?
Well, the goal would be to sell the whole subdivision, but the idea was potentially parcel it off into chunks, so about four chunks. The stuff that's buildable or key or turnkey, would be like the first portion we would look at. That's what the developer would have the most interest in. And then as those build, the other ones might become more interesting to the developers as well. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you. The next is a legislative update. I do have in front of you an update from Conservation Strategies. This is Julie Erickson and Joe Burkholz. They help us with our legislative matters up at the Capitol. Just the three basically key elements that I want just to have the board track is the first being House File 384 and Senate File 447. This is Bennett and Dornick's bonding bill proposal on behalf of the Watershed District. The original request was for 7.5. That's because it was introduced last year prior to us increasing that for the inflationary costs. So if it does go through, it will add that inflationary cost, which I believe is right around 8.5 million. So that's one thing we want to keep our eyes on. The second one is House File 3726 by Eklund and Senate File 2969 by Lang. This is the 2022 Lessard Sands Outdoor Heritage Council bill. This bill contains about 1.4 million in grants for the Watershed District that we applied for last fall. So we want to keep our eye on that one. That one usually passes without too much back and forth between the House and the Senate. So we always feel pretty positive about that, but anything can come up. The second one to watch is House File 3029 by Torkelson and Senate File 3046 by Eaton. This is the bill that would raise the general fund tax levy that watershed districts have received. And right now that admin levy since 2001 has been set at 250,000. You can remember we've been requesting the Senate to look at increasing that. So they're looking at increasing that to 500,000. And again, this is only for the admin levy. It doesn't include any project levy stuff. But if we remember, all the rural watershed districts within the state of Minnesota are stuck at that 250,000 admin levy, where the metro watershed districts is based off a percentage. So most of their admin levies are well over $1 million. But of course, they also have the population and all that to go with it. However, for the rural watershed districts, it's tougher for us to compete with the metro on grants and stuff like that, because we have only a 250 levy. Excuse me. And so what we're seeing is, again, this 250 was established in 2001. We've seen a lot of increase in costs just in rent, phones, just basic office equipment, gas mileage, stuff like that. So definitely would be in support of an increase from the 250 to the 500. Now, again, that's something that the board has the option to increase it if it is approved. But again, right now we're at that 250,000. So that's the big thing on the legislative update. Just one other note, we do have the legislative breakfast next week, March 16th and 17th. So we will be meeting with, staff will be meeting with Representative Bennett on the 16th at 1 o'clock at the Capitol. and we will be meeting Dornick on the morning of the 17th in the vault room at the Capitol. And that's the actual date for the watershed breakfast with the legislature. I will also be asking, I am on vacation next week with spring break, but we will have staff attending the MAUD legislative banquet. But I'm also going to be looking for a couple of board managers and myself to visit with key legislators, probably late April, early May. Again, just pushing for our bonding request out there at Capitol. So any of you are interested, please let me know. I'm not quite sure on the dates yet. I will probably do it right after the Easter break that they take. So just keep that on your agendas and your calendars. I'd like 2, if not 3 of us, or 3 board managers, if possible, to tag along with me up there and really sell the bonding. So any questions on the legislative update? All right, hearing none. Lastly, the Goose Lake Fish Barrier update. The Goose Lake Fish Barrier, for those that can remember, I mean, this project goes back almost 6 years now, I think, maybe 7. But this is one of the barriers where we had some engineering issues with flow. So we didn't have enough flow pushing the carp off of the electrodes soon enough, and we'd get large carp kills right there in the middle of the golf course. Of course, the golf course wasn't very happy about it. My staff wasn't very happy about it because we'd have to go out there and remove them. So we've been working pretty extensively for quite a few years with both the engineer and the, not the contractor, but the designer of the equipment, trying to find alternatives to keep carp out where we weren't going to kill a bunch of carp and create a mess for Green Lake Golf Course. I think we're there. I think we're on about the 5th design phase. And it's going to come down to a mechanical barrier with swinging grates. So during flooding periods, material can pass underneath it. The grates will flip up. It is quite a big structure. There is a cost associated with this. As of right now, that cost is going to be divided up between the engineer and the designer, which is Smith Root. I don't know if there will be some small costs for us. I did ask for a few extra things that we need to fix while we're in that area, just because it has already been there in place, like I said, for 7 years. With this, we'll also be removing some of the material or some of the hardware from the old electric barrier, basically the cabinet, fencing, stuff like that, the generator. We can reuse the pulsators as backups for our other 4 electrical barriers, so those won't go to waste. We do have failures in those once in a while, and it's nice to have backups on hand to just throw in, and we can send the other ones out to get fixed. So that is my update on Goose Lake. I did talk with Jeff Elseth out at the golf course. More than likely, we will not get it in this winter, just due to it already starting to thaw out there. We are also having troubles sourcing the aluminum that we're making the grate out of. So trying to get that built has been tough, sourcing the aluminum. So I did tell him that, once we have it done, if it gets late into the summer where the ground's a little bit harder, we're not gonna rip up the golf course. He said he'd let us out there then and get it done. So we're working pretty closely with him also on getting that fixed. So any questions on the Goose Lake Fish Barrier? Al, I'll be happy not to ever have to talk about that one again once I'm done.
Put it on the calendar for 2023.
Yes, don't do that. It'll be done in 2022, I hope.
Annual meeting. Annual fish fair discussion.
All right, moving on to project and program manager Courtney Phillips. Courtney is out. She had a family medical emergency. So I'll be going over her items. And the first item on the list for her is resolution 2022-03 award contract for the Vandergrift wetland restoration. So if I can get a motion in a second, and then I'll read the resolution and then we can have discussion. So moved.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Resolution 2022-03 bid award, project 2018-01 Vandergrift wetland restoration. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District Board of Managers pursues the mission of implementing reasonable and necessary improvements to the water-related and other natural resources within its boundaries. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District is charged with implementing the Shell Rock River Watershed District Watershed Management Plan. Whereas on February 8th, 2022, the district established the Vandergrift Wetland Restoration Project by resolution 2022-02. Whereas a request for bids was sent February 10th, 2022. And whereas 6 bids were submitted to the district ranging from $68,091.30 to $166,507.00. Therefore, the Board of Managers hereby finds that the proposed project has the ability to promote the public interest and welfare in conformity with the plan as set forth above. Now therefore be it resolved that the Shell Rock River Watershed District hereby awards a contract to Feeborn Construction as the lowest bidder and in the best interest of the district for the Vandergrift wetland restoration, and authorizes the district administrator to sign all documents to proceed with this project dated March 8th, 2022.
Discussion.
Did you get a bunch of bidders or?
We did, we got 6 bids, which is probably 4 to 5 more than we have been getting on our projects. We did have 3 local bidders bid on the project. The local bidders, of course, were more in the price range of where this one's at. We did also have some new bidders that we haven't seen before, and they were, of course, the higher bidders. But yeah, we did have quite a few bids on this project, considering what we usually get. That's fine.
What was the engineer's estimate?
I want to say the engineer's estimate was right around 150,000, but of course that includes all their extras that they put in there. And 20% of, I don't remember what the term they use, to make sure. The fluff is what I like to call it, that they put in there.
Okay.
We did, our engineer did reach out to Feeborn Construction. They're absolutely fine with it. They say it's right in their wheelhouse. Our engineering firm gave us written certification that Feeborn can do it, so staff is comfortable with Feeborn Construction on this bid.
Any other discussion?
Manager Bakken,
Aye.
Manager Delger,
Aye.
Manager Kramer,
Aye.
Manager Pastuski,
Aye.
Manager Hanson,
Aye.
Manager Pistorius.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and managers. The last update on there is the Bowser targeted watershed update. What I want to discuss there just a little bit is give you an overview. We have closed out the Bowser targeted watershed grant. This grant was for $825,610. The district match to this grant was $248,696.17 for total projects completed worth $1,074,306.17. To give you some of the projects that were completed with this grant, we had the 2-stage ditch. We had the Owens waterways. And remember, this is all in Pickerel Lake subwatershed. Again, trying to protect Pickerel Lake. We had the J9 outlet we had the Wasmone wetland restoration. I believe there is roughly over 20 wetlands that were restored on the Wasmone piece with this grant. And then we had the Pickerel Lake stream stabilization that was also completed with this. So that's all I have on the Bowser targeted watershed, unless there's any questions from the managers.
Questions? Okay, managers report. Have none.
We have any meetings?
Next meeting is April 12. Someone here care to speak to this monthly meeting, or are you here for the annual meeting?
Is invited because I'm a county commissioner
Yes, he is.
You want
for
to,
now. Redistricting.
would you like to speak at all?
Just come here and listen. I've been attending the sewer watershed board meetings quite a bit, so I just figured. Out here, my home. See what's going on.
Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you. So otherwise we'll adjourn the monthly meeting. Motions. So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned. Recess to
8 minutes and then we'll start